Well, two GOP presidential hopefuls, once flying kind of under the radar, are surging now in the polls. Crowds seem to be warming up to Ohio Governor Jon Kasich, drawn to his straightforward approach and his focus on bread and butter issues. And according to the Wall Street Journal, former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina also is riding a wave of momentum following her strong showing in the first debate, but she is still considered a long shot. Could either of these underdogs wind up winning the Republican nomination? Let's bring in Colby Itkowitz, national reporter for the Washington Post, and Susan Crabtree, a correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Colby, to you first, and that question, could either one of these two candidates that we were talking about, could they be the nominee?
Sure. I mean, this field is wide open right now. But I think of the two, people are really looking at Jon Kasich. Jon Kasich is an actual conservative, but he talks and acts like a moderate. So he can win over the base, but he can also do well in a general. He's from Ohio, which is a critical swing state. I've heard people talking about the Kasich-Rubio dream ticket, where you'd have Ohio and Florida on, at the top of the ticket. If Jeb Bush is worried about anyone, and he still, I think, in most people's minds, is the front runner, he should be worried about Jon Kasich.
Do you agree, Susan? Is Jon Kasich the biggest threat to Jeb Bush?
Well, he's putting all of his eggs in the moderate basket of New Hampshire and all of his money, $4 million worth of TV ads right there in the last few weeks. And it's paying off for him. But I really don't see Jon Kasich winning a path to the nomination for Jon Kasich. He's very moderate. I'm not sure he appeals to the type of conservative anger that's out there that Trump's tapping into. He does have a secret weapon in that he is from Ohio, and there is a dream ticket possibility there, certainly, because of the, but it seems like Jeb Bush would like that to be a Bush-Kasich dream ticket. I do feel like that people see him after the debates. He's a very serious candidate. He can talk specifics. He's a statesman. He's not getting into the dirt and mud throwing with Trump. He avoids that. And I think people respect that, certainly in New Hampshire, where people are tired of the old types of dirty politics. So I do think he's raising his profile, certainly, and could be a vice presidential nominee.
Colby, he also has the support of a pivotal New Hampshire figure, the former governor there, John Sununu, who is not only a regional but also a national power broker of sorts.
Yeah, I think it's former U.S. Senator John Sununu who is supporting Kasich. He's running his campaign there in New Hampshire. He also got another major endorsement out of New Hampshire from the former state attorney general. So you see people kind of rallying around a Jon Kasich run. Jon Kasich has some of the benefits of a Jeb Bush without the Bush baggage. And I think that that's what people are giving a second look to. Plus, he had a strong debate performance. And people like, these outsiders come in, they haven't heard a lot about them, they hear about them from the first time from these debates, and they have their moment in the sun.
But, Susan, so many Republicans really dislike Obamacare, and when Jon Kasich signed Ohio on to get Medicaid funds through, under the Obamacare law, a lot of conservatives really don't like that.
That's going to be a problem for Jon Kasich, Medicaid expansion, as well as his support for a path to citizenship for immigrants already in this country, his support for Common Core. But, what's really authentic about Jon Kasich is he talks about his faith a lot, and that appeals to conservative voters. He talks about how the American dream needs to be for all, and that is a fresh voice. Nobody else in the Republican field is really talking about the racial tensions in this country that the president's been focused on. And I think Jon Kasich is seen as an authentic candidate, and I think that certainly this summer, that's what voters are looking for. They're rewarding the candidates that are true to their values, true to their positions, like Donald Trump and Carly Fiorina, for instance. And I think that that unapologetic attitude is helping him.
Good segue to Carly, because Colby, she has gotten a lot of attention since the debate. She's also stepped on at least a minor landmine in this vaccination issue, saying it's a parent's choice whether to vaccinate kids or not.
Right, and you heard her kind of walk that back a little bit and say, well, it is a parent's choice, but public schools also have the ability to say, well, then your child can't come to our school then.
Right.
It is a difficult issue, and we saw Chris Christie struggle with it and Rand Paul struggle with it. What she's learning is that her debate performance was so strong, she had this surge in the polls, and when you're considered a so-called top-tier candidate, you suddenly get a lot more scrutiny, and everything you say and everything you do gets looked at by the media. and she's dealing with that right now. Who knows if that would have gotten as much attention, or if she would have even been asked it had she not, she wasn't also having her moment in the sun.
Susan, very quickly, it is a considered opinion, though, because she has personal experience involving her own teenage daughter.
That's right. I thought that she handled that pretty well. I don't think it's going to hurt her in the GOP primary, maybe if she was a vice presidential candidate in the general election. But she talked about her own daughter and a nurse bullying her daughter to get the HPV vaccination, which is for sexual activity, sexual related diseases, disease. And so I think that this voters can give her a pass on that one and say, I don't want nurses in schools telling my children telling me to do with my children and their health.
Yeah.
But when it comes to measles, she differentiated that when it comes to measles and said that the schools can definitely not grant you permission to keep your child there if measles is much different than HPV. I thought she struck the right tone there.
Both of these candidates, Jon Kasich and Carly Fiorina, seeing their poll numbers head north. Kasich just announced he's heading to Iowa on Tuesday, which is something like what I said at the top of the show. All the candidates are going there. The population is swelling. Colby Edkowitz, Susan Crabtree, thank you both.
Thank you.